Welcome back, you guys. So today I've been wanting to share with you what my current setup is and why I've been riding it, what's working, and what I'm gonna tweak in the near future to make it a little bit better. Because what I've been doing is just making really small incremental changes over this last year to my boards. You know, like I haven't been doing too much crazy truck switching. I haven't really been changing my wheels too often, and the decks have been pretty much within the same size range. With only small changes between each setup. So I started the year skating an 8.38 full SE from Real. While I was enjoying that board, the 14 3/8 wheelbase did feel a bit long to me. So I decided to switch to the Manderson shape, the crooked, which was 8 3/8 with a 14 1/4 wheelbase, and it was just under 32 inches long, measuring straight across. That was an awesome board. I liked it, and I rode 3 of them in a row. And the only thing that left me wanting was sometimes I felt like the tail was a bit too mellow for me, and I also felt like the concave ramped up too quickly for my feet. I've been really craving mellower concaves, and I had this board sitting on my shelf for about a year. I had no idea when I was gonna skate it, but it was a Scumco. And this one is PS pressed at Paul Schmidt's factory. And it's an 8.5, so I stepped up the size 1/8 in width, but it is the same length as the Manderson. It's 31 7/8. And one of the things I noticed about this right away is that it had much flatter concave right here. My foot just felt a lot flatter because I feel like as I'm getting older, I mean, we have arches that go like this, and the concave goes the opposite direction. So the more time I spend pounding my feet onto something with the opposite direction as the arch of my foot, I feel like it's actually a little bit hard on it. So I think I've just been craving mellower concaves over this last year. And I found it on this Scumco board. Now, Scumco is not currently pressing at PS, and I was a little bit bummed because I wanted to get a bunch of these decks. So I actually hit up Paul. I was like, hey, here's the serial number of this board. Is anyone else actually making this? And nobody was currently making that shape. But because he has all the numbers, he was like, oh, but we have made about 40,000 of them over the last 10 years. So it's been a popular shape that's been used across a lot of brands. It's got kind of a blunt nose, kind of blunt tail, and the 14 1/4 wheelbase and the 31 7/8 long made it a pretty compact 8.5, which was kind of ideal. So I rode this on Indy Standards. It was an awesome board, but like I said, I was bummed when I ran out. And Paul was like, hey, I'll cut you 4 of them and send them to you. And I was like, what? Are you kidding? So of course I took him up on the offer. So what this is what came back to me. And because it was the first one cut in a while, because they're not actually producing the shape, it might have wound up just a tiny bit wide. This one wound up just under 8.625, which officially makes it the widest board that I have ever stayed on for any duration. I've been riding this deck, which is from the same mold as this other one, but for some reason it's a tiniest bit steeper. Like if we actually check the degrees on the boards, the Scumco was coming in at around 21 on the nose and 18-ish on the tail, whereas this one was around 23 on the nose and 20 on the tail, which was actually better for me because sometimes I found the Scumco a bit too mellow on the tail. So my kickflips improved once I started skating this board, and it really took me no time at all to get used to that extra almost 1/8 of an inch, so that was nothing. Now on this board, I am skating Indy 149 standards. They're super ground down, as you can see. Like, I've got a deep groove there, but they still got lots of life in them. They're still turning and feeling great. There's nothing wrong with the bushings. The bushings are not the stock ones that it comes with. The bushings are the orange replacement ones, which are very slightly firmer than the stock ones for some reason. So I've been really enjoying these because I haven't been having to crank them down much at all. As you can see on my back truck, I have about 1 thread showing, and on my front truck, I have no threads showing. And that's typical for me. My front truck is always a little bit looser than my back truck. I don't think I'm one of those people that would ever skate a symmetrical board because I like my grooves to get really deep. And if you're switching your board all around, then your grooves start to become less specialized. So I love having a deep coping groove to lock in on the back. You get a good feeble grind groove from slappy and curbs, and I love a nice deep crooked grind groove on the front. And if you're throwing your board down and skating it whichever way, of course you still get grooves over time, and your board might actually be even more evenly weighted because of that. But I just get used to it. I like the really deep grooves that I get, and they help me lock in right away. So anybody that asks if grooves matter or not, in my opinion, your trucks only get better with age. The deeper the grooves, the quicker they lock in. And if you've ever taken your trucks and put them around backwards and skated them reversed, you'll notice that you don't lock into your tricks properly because the grooves are in the wrong spot. So I don't recommend doing that. Okay, the bearings are quantum bearings. I don't know which ones they are. They're too dirty to be able to tell whether they're the metallics or the black ones. I don't remember what they're called. They're all good and fast. Right now though, they're kind of winter bearings because I've been skating outside a lot. They've got some salt in them. They're definitely still spinning good. Like I haven't spun any of these hard, but they're a little squeaky, not quite what they could be if they were new or clean. Okay, so that's been a lot of talking. I'm gonna show you guys a quick little, ledge and flat ground session so you can get an idea of how I'm skating on this board. Take that one. Well, as you can see, I've gotten pretty used to it, and it's actually at the Goldilocks stage, like every single part of this. So when I'm riding Indy Standards, I like it when my wheels start to wear down. These wheels are probably around 50 to 49 millimeters now. They used to be 52. And once they start to get kind of small, the Indies start to feel a little bit lighter. So as much as I like a nice new crisp wheel, I actually like it when they're smaller. It works better for me. I think if I was actually gonna skate new product, like really new product all the time, and I didn't skate my wheels as long, I might actually go down to 51 so that they were closer to my Goldilocks zone sooner. The deck is maybe about 3 weeks old. This, for some reason, was the stiffest deck that I have ever ridden. I don't know what it was. Like, I checked the width of it. The width was normal. There was nothing abnormal about this board that would make it so obscenely stiff. It was actually too stiff at first. I wasn't quite getting the pop I should. Like, there's a Goldilocks zone for flexibility of boards too. You get a little bit of flex and it helps you spring. So think like a diving board. You know when you're a kid and you're on the diving board and you're rolling that thing to the front or to the back so that you can make the diving board more springy or less? And when you roll that way out to the front and you get that tiny little bounce, there's very little bounce, it just feels hard. That's what this board felt like. Whereas when you roll it all the way to the back, the timing is almost too long and you're like, boop. And so there's that perfect spot on a diving board where you get the best spring. And I really think that skateboards are kind of the same way. So this one is actually at that point now, at about 3 weeks in. I don't know why it was so hard. And I asked Paul and he was like, yeah, it's interesting that this one felt so particularly hard compared to other ones. But yeah, as you can see on this kind of compact 8.5, I've gotten used to the width, I've gotten used to the weight of the Indy Standards, although these Indy Standards are actually kind of light now. Also, you guys may have noticed that I was skating the Dunks, which is kind of hilarious to me. I made that video calling Dunks the most mediocre skate shoe ever. And right after that video, I started skating them again because I've been having like a shoe crisis where I can't figure out what shoe I want to skate. So I started skating the Dunks again. And lo and behold, it seems that the Dunks also finally reached the Goldilocks spot. So I've got a setup that's in the Goldilocks zone and I've got some shoes that just hit the Goldilocks zone. And I may have to remake my Dunks video because I'm starting to have different feelings about those shoes. I think I was just around the corner from them breaking in properly and being able to appreciate them. And I've got that second pair of Dunks that I'll probably skate after because I'm used to them. Why not try them again? Anyways, you guys, that's all I have to say. That's my current favorite, not necessarily perfect, but really darn good setup. It was an interesting way that it came about, and I'm excited to see what my future boards will turn out to be as I go on the quest to flatter and flatter boards and puffier shoes. I may as well just get a pair of Excel OGs and start skating the Mike Carroll, the 7.5 Mike Carroll that I have. I actually weirdly love that concave. It's so flat, but it feels so good to me. Anyways, it's not good for everything. So let me know in the comments what you're riding, what you love and why. And yeah, do you have crazy madness these days, or is it getting better? As you can see, it's getting better for me. Like, I don't need to change stuff like crazy anymore. I'm really settling into finding what works for me and only making the tiniest changes. So that's been really working for me, and I recommend it to anyone who's got a solid case of the madness. Just start sticking with something and making very small changes over time. You know, like if you're changing trucks mid-session, just stop. It's not worth it. You need help. Yeah, don't watch my old videos. Anyways, thanks. Till the next one, you guys.